Good morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you are, and welcome to another NerdTube Dragon Ball topic discussion. We are here talking about the Dragon Ball Super superhero movie. And I know we're a little late on this topic. We were originally going to wait until the movie came out in America and kind of jump on that hype train, but we didn't want to. We both have kind of already seen the movie, and well, we both now have seen the movie, and we just kind of want to talk about it. So yeah, if you're like, oh, you guys were like 2 weeks late. Yeah, well, you know what? We're also several weeks early for the American release. So suck on that. So what we're gonna go through is just we're gonna go through some of our talking points from this movie. We're not gonna do a breakdown. We're not gonna do a play-by-play. There's a lot of interesting things that happened in this movie that I personally want to talk about. I know there's a bunch of things in this movie that made you rage. My partner in crime, my Z fighter in crime over here, wants to also talk about. So first off, sorry for not introducing you, but Major Rage, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. Doing great. Excited to talk about this. Got a lot of stuff on my mind, like you said.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the first things, and this is what everybody is talking about right now, is I want to talk about the new forms of the movie. So we're going to be talking about Beast Gohan or Final Gohan, which I think Toriyama said it was Beast Gohan now,
He
right?
did. It's garbage. But
Um,
go on.
and Piccolo's two new forms. So let's start off with Piccolo because he's the one who got the new forms first in the movie, and honestly, I feel like his forms are a bit more interesting. Um, I'm going to come out and say it. I like the fact that Piccolo's getting new forms. I thought that the yellow Piccolo form was very generic, and I was like, weird flex, but okay. I was glad Piccolo was getting something new to play with. And then we got Piccolo Orange or Orange Piccolo or whatever it's called. By the way, these names, they really need to work on these
The
names.
names are garbage.
They really are. But the Piccolo Orange form, I really like. I mean, like his antennae are up like this. He's like more buff. He's got like the underliner. He looks more menacing and he looks more jacked. And it's more
It's
like a
great except the orange.
honestly, I didn't mind the orange so much. I think it was a nice contrast to the green, so that yellow was not contrast enough. It didn't. The yellow did not stick out to me enough.
Maybe if it had been like an aura, a yellow aura around, Green Piccolo, it would have stood out better. But instead, it just looked like it looked like he ate something bad for lunch.
I see. I disagree with you on that because I really feel like it's because when you come to forms in Dragon Ball and transformations, you have to have some kind of color palette change. Like with the Saiyans, obviously you've got Super Saiyan Blue, Super Saiyan God, which is red, Super Saiyan. There's other Super Saiyans, Super Ultra Instinct, Ultra Ego, which also have different color palettes. So I get it that their things their hair. So for Piccolo, it's like, well, what's his? Well, his skin. I mean, like he's
Do
going
the
from the
underparts of his arms, the
yeah, and I mean
pattern
those.
parts.
I think they did that just because they wanted him to look more buff, like his skin was more
Well,
puffed out.
just do a way different color there to indicate the new form. Do the palette
No,
swap, make it marketable.
they could have just done Piccolo white and just made him all white. Like they did with other people.
That
I mean,
that wouldn't go over well.
I love how you just have like no reasonable retort for that, and you're holding yourself back. Don't hold yourself back. Just say it.
I've got no words. It's just so bad. I've got no words.
Awesome. Well, I'm very glad I was able to
Break the mage.
yeah, break the mage. Anyway, I do I was actually a fan of the orange form. The yellow form just didn't it wasn't different enough. It just it's kind of like Super Saiyan to Super Saiyan Blue. It's like it's just a color palette swap. So it didn't really matter much, to me. Um but the orange one definitely had different features. I really like he looked more like a tank. So I kind of enjoyed that.
He looked like one of those like bigger built Namekian types like we saw from the what was it, Universe 6 team in
$16. I
the
mean,
Universe
Universe
6
6.
team.
Oh,
Yes,
team. Got it.
team,
Okay.
my bad. Uh
I thought you said 16. I'm like, wait, there was 16. I'm like, wait, okay. Anyway,
Originally before the 4 got destroyed.
yeah, wasn't there 18? Something like that.
thought it was 16.
Might have been 16. Anyway. Okay. So yeah. So I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts beside? I mean, anything else on Piccolo's work?
Uh,
I just wanted to say I really enjoyed it. I'm glad Piccolo's getting, and let's just say Piccolo man in this movie is the cornerstone of this movie.
he is the cornerstone of the movie. The best parts are him and Pan.
Hmm.
Those are the redeeming qualities of the film. There's a lot of good here, but there's a few bad sticking points that I feel undo most of the good.
And I agree with you. As I said, there will be more. I mean, a lot of Piccolo I'm talking about is for me is positive. A lot of this movie, and that's
The
why I'm starting off with the positive because there we will definitely be getting into the negatives of this movie. And I'm not saying this is a bad movie because this movie did hit me in the feels in a couple places. I'm not gonna lie.
the
Um,
movie was a good Dragon Ball movie. It's not up there with the Broly movie or Battle of Gods. I mean, it's not even, it's no Janemba movie or BoJack movie.
but how does it compare to Resurrection F?
It's about the same level.
Wow, I wouldn't put it that low. Okay, okay. So we're gonna probably disagree on a lot here, which is fine by me. I love it. I love it. Okay, so anything else you want to add about Piccolo, his new
I
forms?
I like the buffness. I liked getting to see him, get big Namekian. I feel like we haven't seen that in way too long. Kind of I think the last time we saw that was Lord Slug.
Okay, yeah. I did like the fact at the end of the movie, him going big. Even though I don't agree with some of the decisions with that final boss, and we will get to that part in a little bit. But I did like the fact of him getting big, and I don't an insignia on his back. I don't. Is any? Do we know? Is there any significance to that? Is that like
It
a?
must be the mark of Shenron is the only thing I can figure. I couldn't place the iconography, but the power up is, one of those. It's just unearned gimme power up from Shenron. We're not even sure if it's permanent. He said it was a bonus. We don't know if it's a permanent bonus or a one-time deal.
I don't know. I mean, as I said, I'm kind of digging it. I want there to be more.
I love the concept of Piccolo getting a power up in a new form. I just feel like they didn't stick the landing.
I do agree with you. It does seem a little cheesy because they use the Dragon Balls to get it, but I mean, they're using something within canon to get this power up because he basically was like, "Hey, look, the Elder Namek released Gohan
Mhm.
and Krillin's potential. Can you do that too?" Now,
Right.
I agree with you that it using the Dragon Balls was a bit of a cheap out.
When
It would have been better.
Gohan and Krillin got it, they had went on a journey. They'd went on a hero's quest. Not only had they traversed space and got to planet Namek, they've now adventured on planet Namek, rescued Dende, and brought him to Guru. And so they've earned it. It's
Mhm.
part of the quest and their hero's journey. And
So
in this case, it was unearned.
and I see where you're coming from, and that as I said, I agree with you. It is unearned. What if they do a because there's been talk about this, and I don't know if this is true or not. I don't know if it's been announced. I doubt it's been announced. But if they do a superhero arc when the anime comes back, do you want to see Piccolo go on a journey to New Namek, to meet that elder Namekian? Because obviously Goku can't just instant transmission him there. So would you want a couple episodes, let's say 3 or 4 episodes, like a mini arc for just Piccolo, where he goes to New Namek to get his potential unlocked? Not in the midst of, or maybe even in the midst of the Red Ribbon Army stuff. Like maybe they extend out their plans. Obviously, with the movie, they have to condense everything. What if he decides to go on a journey? He gets a spaceship from Dende or Capsule Corp or something, and he goes on a journey, and they take a couple episodes of him getting there, and they have some other stuff going on, and he gets dynamic, and then the elder they're on Namek now, New Namek, releases his potential. Would you
Yeah.
be on board for that? And maybe having, as I said, some space shenanigans. I know it sounds very Dragon Ball GT-ish, but maybe some shenanigans on the way, or maybe some shenanigans on the way back to show off his new power. Or would you just rather than debut the power when he got back and not show it off until that, in those moments when they're fighting the gammas in the anime? I don't know. I mean, this is kind of a what if scenario, and I'm kind of digging it. So,
Um, that's a really interesting thought experiment. I like the idea. I think I'd be on board with it.
or would he just use the yellow Piccolo form in the space shenanigans, but then he would unlock the orange form against said final boss later on, or I'm sorry, against against the gammas later on after he's back on Earth. Like maybe Yellow Piccolo would just be it'd be that first power up. It would deal with some shenanigans on his way back from Namek. Who knows? Dragon Ball GT-ish stuff. If they write it well and it's not drawn out and stupid, I feel like it can be done well, especially with Piccolo. Um,
He needs more shine. He needs more time in the spotlight. And maybe definitely the big power up should be like a reveal against like a substantial villain if they were to do something like that.
for
The
orange or for yellow or for both.
for the ideally both should be a big put over. I mean, the more you hype it up by having it come out of nowhere and happen against a strong enemy, the more it puts over the power up. And you Dragon Ball bookings have always been inherently similar to sports entertainment. There's putovers, there's face to heel turns, heel to face turns.
Let's be real. In Dragon Ball, there's more heel to face turns. There's so many
Oh,
people that were bad guys before that it's not even funny.
I mean, I might have misspoke with the first one. There might not even ever be one of those. It's
Yeah,
more
you can't even consider Goku Black because technically Goku Black was not Goku anymore. Spoiler alert for the Goku
true.
Black arc.
I guess if you ever could have considered Zamasu a face, but he was unlikable when initially presented. So,
He's like the Chris Jericho. Even when he's a face, you still want to root against him. Like,
wow, that's a really good comparison. Yeah, just so smarmy and full of
yeah, like you
themselves,
really
you can't
just,
stand them.
yeah. Like I love Chris Jericho as a wrestler, but man, I love to hate him as a personality, like in the ring. Anyway, okay, so back to Dragon Ball. We're not wrestleheads right now. So okay, so we've talked about Piccolo a lot, and I honestly this might be another discussion down the road we can have. Maybe we can talk about a what if scenario. What do we want if superhero is adapted into a anime arc? Like how do we want it? Because obviously they've done that in Dragon Ball Super before, and it did not pan out as well. I think Battle of Gods was okay. Resurrection F I think had its moments, but definitely was not as good. But
But between the animation struggles and the pacing, they just didn't do either film justice
yeah,
with. But I understand that they had to do something to buy time for the original plots to get ready to produce.
yeah, I agree. Okay, so one of my next points that I want to talk about in the movie is, oh yeah, Final Gohan or Beast Gohan. First off, terrible name,
Hmm.
terrible name. I don't necessarily agree with this transformation. It is it's definitely forced, and if anyone's argument is, well, it's if you're okay with him becoming Super Saiyan 2 in the Cell arc, then or the Cell games, then you should be okay with this. And it's kind of like,
No.
no,
False
they
equivalency.
yeah, and I agree with that. They built up Gohan for Super Saiyan 2, and technically Super Saiyan 2 was not even Super Saiyan 2 until the Boo arc, because then they kind of, then they kind of retconned it into there being Super Saiyan 1, 2, and 3 instead of it just being, because all they ever said was Gohan Super Saiyan was Super Saiyan Beyond or Super Saiyan Rage or whatever. It wasn't actually a new form per se. Like, it was a new form of Super Saiyan, but they never pushed it as like a level 2, you know, like it was, they just said it was Gohan's latent potential that had been building up since he was a child, and now you've seen it versus his uncle, and then versus Frieza, and then versus Vegeta. Next, find out next time on Dragon Ball Z. Now I sound like the announcer from the old DBZ arcs.
It's damn near perfect to what he was the monologue the announcer used
Yeah,
for the lead
when
up
he
to
first
that.
went Super Saiyan 2. And as I
Mhm.
said, hindsight gives them Super Saiyan 2, you know, gives us Super
Mhm.
Saiyan 2. But Piccolo giving him the speech and then him doing the whole red line thing again and then going beast mode, and it's just like really like
It
I
cheapens the original moment.
it
Ripping it off so whole cloth right here
mhm.
cheapens the original moment, and it like it enraged me.
Yeah, and I agree. It, as I said, um as I said, I've said it on here before. I like adult Gohan. I'm not a fan of teen or kid Gohan ever. Like I've never liked him that much. I didn't think he was that great. He was a kid that threw a temper tantrum and then got the hell beat out of him as per usual, except in the Cell games. That's the only time it ever paid off, really. Well, and maybe, well, not even Raditz because he was a glass cannon. So
Third form Frieza.
no, but third form Frieza beat I mean, yeah, he held his own against third form Frieza for a little bit, but then Frieza just basically Raffle stomped him once he. But okay, you have a point there with third form Frieza. Okay, so with this now, I don't feel we I don't feel we need a new form from Gohan. I felt like
We
I do
didn't.
feel like if this was a again an advancement of his like his ultimate form, because I'm okay with that. He even said in Dragon Ball Super, he said he's trying to unlock a different power based
Mhm.
on, you know, his current power, like his Super Saiyan, you know, his Ultimate Gohan form, and I'm okay with that. He doesn't have to unlock a new. I was championing back before. I said this before, but I was championing for Gohan to be like, yeah, I can go Super Saiyan Blue. I just don't want to. I don't want to use God Key. Granted, Gohan never trained with Whis or Beerus, so yes, it's very unlikely that he would be able to unlock the Super Saiyan Blue or even Super Saiyan Red. But I still feel like Saiyans are visual learners, and I feel like if he's seen his father use Super Saiyan Blue enough that he'd be able to figure it out, in my opinion. Um, but all that regardless, this form just felt very forced, and it's I don't just forced and not really able to. Uh, I don't know the word I'm trying to look for. You go ahead, Mage. Like, what are your thoughts on Beast Gohan?
Maybe I would have bought into it more if they had actually done something with one of the plot threads that they laid early on in the film that never went anywhere, and that's the insect that had Super Saiyan properties. If they might have tied in this, Gohan's research, you know, gave him this discovery and he was able to harness that. I feel like when you've got characters as smart as Piccolo and Gohan, you need to make the plot smart too, instead of making it Red Ribbon Arc Part 2 with some, interesting characters and interesting character moments, but there's nothing really original here. There's way too much copying, and the copying cheapens the original. And I'm sorry, but you know, Cell couldn't afford to have any disservice done to him as is. Cell was already there on a shoestring for me.
Yeah,
Uh,
and we'll get into Cell Max here very soon. That's next on the topic list. But um, okay, as I said, I know Gohan fans are championing this because it's something. It is some proper shine to Gohan that he hasn't gotten in a long time, especially, you know, except for maybe the
I
Tournament of Power.
I can't see how any self-respecting Gohan fan is actually happy with this.
Wow. I mean,
It cheapened the original moment by just copying it whole cloth. Uh, it no, it's egregious.
no,
I know we're a hard lot to please the Gohan fans, but we we want to see something earned and not something that comes out of nowhere with no motivation, even thinner motivation than the original Super Saiyan 2 transformation, which even the most diehard Stan will admit was kind of thin motivation. Like he barely knew 16.
oh, I mean,
At me in the comments, please.
oh, yeah. I mean, that's whew, probably. I've actually seen a lot of positive, well, not positive, but I see a lot of Gohan fans fighting for this to be a good thing for Gohan. And I'm middle of the road about it. Obviously, you're not. You know, you're way against it. I mean, I'm middle of the road. I'm like, I don't think Gohan needed it. I think Gohan needed more of a character arc rather than a transformation arc.
The
In which,
first viewing, I was very excited. It pulled on all the nostalgia strings, and after I let the credits roll, it it I thought on it a little bit, and it just didn't sit right with me. And it makes me angry that they just use the nostalgia to try to sell it. They they didn't think enough of me to write something new and compelling.
um, okay. The last thing I want to talk about regarding Gohan, if you're okay with moving on, um,
Absolutely.
at the end of the movie, and I know this is a little, I'm doing all this out of order. Everybody's, if you're watching this video, you've probably seen the movie, so you know what happens. Um, Gohan using the special beam cannon, and I always missay it, but it's the Makako Sapo, right? Ma-
Makan Kosapo.
yeah. But the special beam, him using the special beam cannon was almost a jump out of my chair moment because
It was, and
even, and I thought it was perfect, whether he had a new
no,
form or not.
no, that was perfect. That was epic. I've been waiting probably literally 25 years for that to happen.
Yeah.
For Gohan to use his master signature move, I've been waiting literally the entire time I've been a fan to see that happen. And that's one of the high notes for the film and one of the redeeming qualities. And it's worth a watch to anybody that's still watching that hasn't seen it. Just there are things to take with a grain of salt here.
Yeah. I thought that at the very man, that moment right there, I was like, because even earlier in the fight, Piccolo said, "Use your Kamehameha, charge it up as high as you can." And then I'm like, and I knew, as I said, I had read everything, I had seen clips and stuff like that before actually watching the movie. But even knowing it was coming in the actual movie, watching it in its entirety and just like seeing the whole scene play out, and then all of a sudden you just see Gohan there with the two fingers up, and you're just like, dude,
You know, that was
that is the Avengers Assemble moment for Gohan fans right there. They could not have picked a better moment to do that. I mean, Piccolo's just holding on to Cell Max, and he's like, you think a Kamehameha is coming when you see all the energy gathering up, and nope, he's got those two fingers on the forehead, and you're just like, holy shit. Like we are going special beam cannon, and oh my god, it was
and
brilliant, and it
it
was so earned in
it
my
was so
opinion.
I mean, and it's the right tactical decision. If you
Mhm,
want a move that's going to penetrate defenses,
mhm.
that's the move to use.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it was perfect. It was
It's
the
perfect.
yeah,
It
and that
was it I jumped out of my chair, I yelled, I'm pretty sure I woke my wife up in the next room.
yeah, they'll get over it. But yeah, chef's kiss to that. Mwah. You guys did that was the perfect moment for that, and ah that's probably one of the top 10 moments in my opinion of Dragon Ball history. In my opinion, as I said, I am a adult Gohan fan. I like adult Gohan. As I said, I didn't care if he was in his ultimate form or in whatever beast form he is. That moment right there, mm,
if
icing on the
only
cake.
if only the forms didn't look like something I found on the internet in 1999 while I was browsing on an AOL trial disc.
Damn.
I mean, the Gohan Beast looks like Super Saiyan 5 from Dragon Ball AF.
Yeah. I mean,
Those old fake fan arts that people, the old Dragon Ball misinformation, man. That could be a video in and of itself. I'll shut up now before we tangent, but old Dragon Ball misinformation.
yeah, I do remember that. The Dragon Ball information misinformation was always a thing. I fell septum to it a couple times.
I'm pretty sure everybody did because we were just so excited for any little
Any
bit,
information out of Japan.
any crumb.
Hmm. Okay, so moving on to the next big topic I have is Cellmax. So obviously, if you're watching this, please tell me you're watching this. I guess I should have done a spoiler warning earlier. So
We'll just put it in the description and title.
yeah, I mean, if you're watching this and you haven't seen the movie, shame on you. Um, so Cellmax is the main villain. It is it was a this was another really stupid decision in my part, or in my opinion. Cellmax is like the Cell Games version of Bio Broly. Like,
Good
why?
comparison. I can't believe I didn't think of that comparison. But yes, this is that you strip away everything that was compelling or good about the villain and reduce it to just something that looks kind of halfway like it. Any big imposing monster would have done for the act 3 villain for this film.
I
It
mean,
could have been some sort of, I would have liked to see a fusion of the gammas. I thought that's where they were going with it, but you could have a Harudagarn type like from movie 13.
that's what people were saying. They were saying this could have. I mean, it could have been the Harudagarn, because keep in mind Harudagarn was from the movie, so technically it's not canon. So it could have been, a you're right, a Harudagarn type. But here's the thing, though, Cellmax makes no sense. They built Cellmax. What did they build him out of? They didn't even say they
Had the
built.
collected cells of any of the original people. They claim they use data.
Yeah,
You
that's why I'm
so
like, what
I mean,
data?
I guess you the exact breakdown of their genetic code, I guess that I mean, the Dragon Ball world has some crazy advanced technology,
It's some
but
weird technology.
that'd be yes, very weird technology. Toriyama just likes to draw whatever piece of tech he likes to draw, like
Mhm.
the Red Ribbon Army plane that looked just like the Epic from Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I'm not mad at that. Anything that looks like Chrono Trigger.
Well, he did a lot of the designs from Chrono Trigger, so
All of them, yep.
yeah, I say he technically has a right to it, but that doesn't mean we want to see it in other media. Okay, so but yeah, it is. It's like Bio Broly. It's just all it is, and here's how I would have done it. I'm okay with Cell coming back. I wouldn't have wished back the original Cell. There was a very small snippet in a manga chapter a couple probably last year, where they had shown that a Cell Junior had survived Gohan's assault back in the Cell games.
Hot behind a rock, right?
Yep. Why would they not? And they put this in here last 2 year ago, 2 years ago,
It
something
could
like that.
age up. It could age up
It
and
could
become
age
a
up.
full
And then why
grown.
why not have him go to, like, be drawn to the Red Ribbon Army, because obviously that's where he's from, so maybe he somehow found his way to them, and they modify him. Not to be, like, gigantic, like, not to be gigantic like big Harudagarn Cell, but, like, have him be, and honestly, I wouldn't have minded Harudagarn Cell if it came with a different cell. Like, if Harudagarn Cell was, like, something they tried to make, but then, like, this Cell Junior, so you'd have like a blue Cell, like, and he would have aged up, and they would have enhanced him, so he would have been stronger. They would have, whatever, like, whatever they did to Cell Max could have been just like this grunt, that goes up against Piccolo. So in the final fight, you have Gohan versus the Cell Junior, and then you have Cell Max who's going up against Piccolo. And as I said, I don't think Cell Max as the main villain just worked. I don't think it didn't. It was basically them fighting and even I felt like Harudagarn was better because at least Harudagarn had some build up and had some like big
Emotional
plot points.
weight
Yeah,
behind it, the summoning of it. That's probably my second favorite Dragon Ball movie is film 13.
yeah. I mean,
My
it's not bad
favorite's
at all.
BoJack. As the Gohan stan, my favorite movie's BoJack. 13's a close second.
So, what are your thoughts on my idea of like the Cell Junior playing a factor, and then Cell Max is more of just like kind of like it's a component of the final battle, not the final battle. You have Cell Junior that's still there, and he's there's more personal weight there because it's he basically Gohan killed his father more or less
And his siblings.
and his siblings right in front of him. You're correct. So I felt like that would have put more weight behind it and more character behind it than big Harudagarn looking monster fighting
No,
go like little people and big Piccolo. That's what it was.
that's a way better thought out and compelling plot point than anything they did with Cell in this
I
movie. I feel like Cell shouldn't have been anywhere near this movie. I feel like involving Cell takes away from the overall quality of it.
well,
And you just because they stripped any what thing away from Cell that remote made him remotely interesting. This big hulking unintelligent one doesn't use their own moves against him, and that was the only thing that was cool about the originally as written Cell.
mhm,
Cell didn't have a personality until Team Four Star, to talk about them again, gave him a personality for their version, which his personality was an amalgamation of everyone's, like his moveset.
mhm,
But
yeah,
as originally written, Cell doesn't really have a personality. He's a single minded monster. Get perfect, then kill Goku.
yeah. And I mean, yeah, and him and Android 16 share that in common too. Red Ribbon Army has a lot of common tropes. Um, so anyway, so with Cell Max, I mean, I agree with you. Like they didn't, I felt like they didn't need Cell in this one, but I felt like I would have put money that they were going to have the Cell Junior involved because they had that snippet of Cell Junior in that manga a couple like last year. I
See,
I, I would have put money on it.
maybe they'll go someplace with that in the manga, and
Maybe.
that I would read it. I would read a more fleshed out, you know, grown up Cell Junior arc. I if
Yeah.
but this what they gave us was insulting. Just
And it
again,
really was, and that was my biggest gripe about Cell Max is that it was very insulting.
I was
Um,
hoping it was just one of those stupid fake, old school style misinformation things when I first saw it, get leaked. And I was hoping to God it wasn't true until
you got your eyeballs on
Geekdom.
it.
I got my eyeballs on a post Geekdom put on Facebook saying, what the correct color was. I'm like, oh God, if he's correcting people, it's real. He doesn't talk about
Yeah, he
bullcrap.
normally does not try to spread misinformation.
No.
Tries to. Just want to say
He tries to avoid it. Nobody can be
perfect.
100% accurate all the time. That's
Yeah,
not
and that's what I appreciate him. That's why I watch Geekdom is just because he's very conscious of trying to be accurate to his fan base. So okay,
he's great. If hopefully one day he'll see this. Shout out
maybe
if you see this.
maybe we'll see. Okay, so regard anything else you want to add about Cell Max? I don't know what else is there to say besides that he's a Harudagarn clone, and I mean it's almost like Broly all over again. Like think about it, like it was Broly all over again. Just when Broly lost control, there's Cell Max, just bigger.
It
Like
any any big monster type thing would have served the same storytelling purpose, could have been a big punching bag for people to take out, with one big final attack or everybody attacking all together. It's a wasted opportunity for smart characters like Gohan and Piccolo to get to take down an equally smart enemy with smart tactics and teamwork.
Yeah.
They just had them do what your usual big sluggers would do. Your Goku and Vegeta knock down the thing with one big final attack or working together.
Yeah.
It's
At which everyone's always like, "Oh, Goku and Vegeta are working together." I'm like, they worked together like 4 times in Super, like even at the end of Z. Like it's not special anymore. Like
what
Vegeta can
would have been
grind all. Go
what
ahead.
would be special, it'd be actually seeing the entirety of that fight instead of them just saying, "Oh man, look at this great fight that you didn't get to see. Oh man, it put Limo and Broly in tears. It was so great, fam. They didn't transform. They didn't use Ki Blast. It was just a knockdown, drag out fist fight." Sparring session. Wouldn't you have wanted to see that as a Dragon Ball fan? You didn't get to. You just got cucked, fam.
So we'll go into the final point with that. Um, we'll go into the final point of that fight because I do want to cap this discussion off with that. Um, so let's talk about that fight, Goku and Vegeta, really quick. Um, I'm okay with the way they did it because I wanted this to be a Piccolo and Gohan and other character centric fight. I'm okay with them doing the whole sparring match off, like mostly off screen. They showed us a little bit. Um, I enjoyed
That
it.
made it worse.
See, I not for me. I thought it was fine. I thought that they gave us a little bit of it, the start of it, and that worked for me. Um, and I felt like that this was not their movie, and
I
I
agree. Wasn't.
and so I mean, yes, if this was a Gohan, or if this was not a Gohan, if this was not focused on other characters, I would agree with you. We needed to see it, but in this case right now, first off, they're not allowed to use any key blasts. They're not allowed to use any transformations. It, so yes, it was a good fight, but we wouldn't get much to it. It would just be them using technique,
That
and
would be a good start for a movie that was about them or that introduced something new.
yeah,
But this was Piccolo and Gohan and Pan's movie,
you are correct.
so it didn't have any place in it to begin with. So if you're gonna put it in, at least show us a whole fight sequence instead of this teaserific bait and switch kind of thing.
Okay, I will give you that. As I said, I don't
I
disagree.
want to see the whole thing, so I wish they had saved it for a segment of something, whether it be the anime down the line or a future film. I wish we could have seen this whole thing.
Okay. So a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people online talking about it being a weak win for Vegeta, or some people saying it's a strong victory. So I, for me, I think as there's no transformations, it's your
Mhm.
battle technique and your battle
Mhm.
prowess. It
Mhm.
makes sense that Vegeta would win. Vegeta over in the manga and in this movie, even in this movie,
Mhm.
has grown character wise so much between the Tournament of Power and even up to this movie. I cannot describe to you how happy I was in this movie when Goku walked up to Vegeta and he was sitting there and he was meditating, self-reflecting, and Goku's the idiot who. And I'm sorry, I'm not a Goku fan. I don't hate Goku, but I'm not a huge
Mhm.
Goku fan. I'm more of a Vegeta fan,
Same.
and it's just like, and when where Goku just makes himself look like a incredible asshole by sitting there and saying, "That's not training. What are you doing, Vegeta? Come on, let's do it." And
He's
Vegeta's like,
had to do the same thing before. He's been assigned to sit and meditate as training by Kami-sama and Mr. Popo before in the original series. He had to sit and meditate to train on Yardrat to learn instant transmission. He's done this before. This is one of those times when Super just makes Goku dumb and makes Goku forget canonical things he's done for the sake of a laugh.
And you are correct, but this was a moment for me where Goku was putting over Vegeta, like in this
Mhm.
conversation, because Vegeta, and even Whis jumps in and says, "Ding, ding, ding." He says, "You are correct, Vegeta." Even though Jiren's power seemed so surmountably higher than theirs in the Tournament of Power, it actually wasn't. And if you go back and watch the Tournament of Power, I can see where I can see where Vegeta's coming
Mhm.
from. Like Jiren, his mind and his soul and his technique, it was all balanced. And that's why every single one of his movements just seemed like it was so flowy.
They made no headway against him until they got him mentally rattled.
Yes. And I can see it now. Like I doubt that that's how they planned it, but like
Right.
looking
But
back, it kind of makes sense.
Dragon
Um
Ball's at its best when the retcons are clever and work in there right.
Yeah. And I never agreed with Jiren being that much more powerful than them. I
No.
always thought it was stupid. Like I was okay with him being more powerful than them. But when it's like both of them at their max potential and they can barely even shake him, I'm like, come on, guys. And then all of a sudden Ultra Instinct, Mastered Ultra Instinct, then rocks Jiren. I'm like, what what is happening? Like I,
If it was a technique, that makes a lot more sense now, doesn't it?
maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. Go
Somebody was
check out
talking about
another
it being
video.
should be a technique. Um so but yeah, I really like that moment where Vegeta was basically the smarter fighter, and that's what I feel like
Mhm.
came in the end, and that they were trying to put over is the fact that Vegeta is a smarter fighter. Yeah, I mean, were they both tuckered out, and did Vegeta barely touch him, and then Goku fell, and I almost feel like Goku just was like, all right, I'm giving it to Vegeta here, like the way that they were, like it was almost like Goku just gave it, and he's like, okay, you get it, you get the W, Vegeta. And Vegeta just sitting there going, "Yes, I beat Kakarot," almost made him seem like Goku's bitch for so long. So, but the thing is like everyone's like, "Oh yeah, that's all the Vegeta fans are making that into like a big win," and I don't think it's that big of a win. It's a win. It's a W. I just don't feel like it's anything. And everybody acts like Vegeta's never beaten Goku before. Do you not remember his first incursion on Earth? Like he romple stomped Goku, like literally took his legs out. Like Goku was dead if it wasn't for Krillin, Yajirobe, and Gohan.
Right. It took all of them combined to repel Vegeta from Earth. And
And
even then, I mean he got away. I mean, sure Krillin could have maybe taken him out had Goku not stopped him, but still they were all defeated.
yeah,
He won that encounter. So, but
absolutely.
now here's the thing, the further fights down the line, people get to argue about whether or not Vegeta actually would have won or not if Goku went level 3 transformation in the Majin Buu saga. I feel like, that's why I really want to see the entirety of a fight where they can't transform and can't take advantage of their different tactics and how they use ki. They're forced to save all their ki for the physical combat, and it comes down to, smart technique and this new thing that Vegeta's trying to master with, efficiency of movement and thought.
Yeah,
It seems very Yardratian.
and I mean, we didn't get any mention of that in this movie. Like
Right, which
none of the
is
none of the manga material, which I understand because this movie was written 2 years ago. Technically, I think they said. So I get it. Like they didn't want to mention any of that stuff because they didn't know how it was going to change rolling out in the manga over the past couple years, and that's almost why I kind of wish we had a anime adaptation, just so that we could incorporate those things into this story. But
maybe fit it in chronologically and make it into a more cohesive kind of timeline. Because
yeah,
at this point, I'm kind of confused at which point which is at with the movie and the manga.
I honestly don't think this is technically. I would not be surprised if they don't, because keep in mind, also they do say in the manga that Broly, about where Broly fits, because they do actually say in the manga Goku and Vegeta fought Broly, blah 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 in the manga, and I think it was between the Tournament of Power and the Moro arc starting. So they do address that. Coming up in next month is going to be the well, once this arc, the Granola Survivor arc ends, we'll see if they're going to put a little snippet in there, in the manga between the Granola Survivor arc and this issue. Gohan defeated Cell Max, Gohan and Piccolo unlock new potentials and defeated. So if they do that, then it places it in the manga for us. But at the same time, I don't know if they're going to do that with this one. It kind of seems like it's kind of on its own, a little bit. And keep in mind, Broly's never actually been in the manga except for that little snippet. I mean, has there even been? I don't even think there's been mention of Broly in the manga, in the Moro or Granola arc. I don't think. I might be wrong on that. I'd have to go back and look, but I really don't think there was any mention of, actually, verbal mention of Broly in any of the manga. So it is kind of a little. It is almost like I would kind of rather them do what they did back in the '90s, where these movies are outside of chronological timeline of the manga and the anime.
Mm-hmm.
I'd almost rather deal with three different timeline or three different continuities than try to figure out where these movies lie. So, and I think this one's going to be a little bit more harder to place. Now, we do have Trunks and Goten that are much older, so it's got to be, and I think we've seen them, Trunks and Goten, in the Moro arc. So I think we know that this is definitely after the Moro arc.
Mm-hmm. I like the aged up designs
I do
of the
too. I
boys.
think it's
I like the slight lore nod where it's been said explicitly, the thing that we've always kind of noticed, that Saiyajins stay itty bitty until they're not.
and then just all of a sudden one day they just sprout like a
Blam.
senzu bean.
Mm-hmm. And there was one other little slight lore nod that or explanation that I thought was cool, and now I can't think of it.
Well,
Um,
um,
if I think of it, I'll pop it in the comments on this video.
gotcha. I think, yeah, I think that is it regarding that. So anyway, we're gonna cut this video short here. I think next time what we're gonna talk about in our next video is we're going to be talking about power scaling. And I think that's going to be a long conversation as well. And that's why I kind of want to end this one here. Um, because I think that's going to lead down a whole nother slew of rabbit trails that we can talk about. So
It
anyway,
would.
if you like this video, I know we don't do a lot of Dragon Ball content because we're not primarily Dragon Ball, but there are some of us here on this channel who do thoroughly enjoy Dragon Ball, and we love to talk. So, with all that being said, Mage, thank you very much for joining me for this discussion. It was very enlightening and fun.
I had a blast. Thank you for having me, as always, Cheeto.
If you haven't already, please consider hitting that like button, leaving your own comment about any of these topics we talked about, the new forms, Cell Max, the Goku Vegeta fight, and consider subscribing. You never know when we're going to have more Dragon Ball content on. And we have a slew of things on this channel. We've got Star Wars, Star Trek, Marvel, DC, wrestling, Dragon Ball, obviously, and also Final Fantasy we've kind of delved into a little bit too. So there's a plethora of things on here for you to choose from. We've got playlists for everything. With that all being said, everybody, we will catch you guys in the next one. Catch you later.